Release the Kraken!
Welcome back, fellow game designers. We're on here at Lame Duck Studios. In our last tutorial, we went ahead and did some dynamic texturing for our blocks so it changes whenever we need to. And in this one, we're looking at doing the damage component so that we can actually damage our blocks over a period of time rather than them just deleting automatically. And the same damage system we're going to use for our blocks, we're going to use for our player. So we're going to keep it nice and simple. Jump on over to our system and go ahead and right-click to make a blueprint class. And we will make an actor component. This is going to be the health component. Go ahead and open them up. Now we don't need any of these right here, so go ahead and get rid of those. We will need a few variables though, so on the variable list, let's make the first one. This is going to be health, and that will be a float type. We'll also do the max health, which will also be a float type. And if I recall in Minecraft, when a block is being damaged, if you stop damaging it, it ends up regenerating. So we're going to have this one be an auto heal. So we'll call this one heal rate for how fast it will auto heal. And the next one will be does auto heal. And we'll call this, or this will be a Boolean. First thing first, let's make a custom event. This one we'll call heal actor. Let's make a branch. And for this we need our health. So we'll do a get. And before we branch this, we need to know how much to heal. So we're going to create off of our heal actor. Under inputs, let's make a float here. This is going to be the heal amount. It's going to be our heal amount plus, so float plus float, our health. And this is going to give us whatever the end result is going to be. But we don't want to get too healthy. Okay? So let's go ahead and just make sure once we set our health, so we'll just set this here. So once we set our health, we just want to make sure that we didn't get too much. So we're going to check off of here, and we'll do a greater than or equal to. And we're going to check our max health. And if that's true, if we have too much health, we are just going to set the health to the max health. Pretty simple. So if we grab, a heart piece or something, and it gives us 30 health, and we're already at, 90, it'll fill us to 100. It won't give us, 120 health. And there we go. So this is our heal. The next one we're going to do is the auto heal. So auto heal is going to be an extension of this with a twist. So let's go ahead and do a custom event. Custom event. Do this as auto heal. Do a branch. And our auto heal is going to run a condition. It's going to check to see if our health, so go ahead and get the health, is less than our max health. So float less than float max health. Now we want to make sure we're using a less than and not a less than or equal to, because if it's equal to, it'll still try to run it, which we don't want. But if our health is ever less than whatever our max is, it's going to start healing us. So go ahead and do that. We are going to heal actor. The amount we're going to heal is going to be the heal rate. And then off of here, we want to have this continue. So we don't want to run this off of a tick, because event ticks are frowned upon generally in event-based coding, just because they take up more resources. So instead of running off of tick, we're going to do a retriggerable delay. So what this will do is basically trigger itself. So every so often, so maybe 0.5 1 seconds or whatever, this will call back to itself and just run this check again. I'm going to go ahead and just move this so I can split the branch here, or add a reroute node. I'll add another one. Okay. So it'll get the signal to heal, it'll add a little bit, and then it'll come out, and then it'll go back, and then it'll come back in, it'll check this again, and then it'll go back, it'll run it, and it'll just keep doing this until this fails. And the moment this fails, then this will stop going. In the event that you damage the object again, it'll just reset this delay, which is the advantage of a retriggerable delay. Let's go ahead and move this over just a tad here. And a very important piece I forgot is to run our does auto heal. So let's drag off this to a branch. It's going to drag in our does auto heal. And if the auto heal is set to true, then it'll do this. Because our player does not auto heal, so we will not have him do that. So there we go. Or does he? Really depends on what your game's going to be. But that should be good for auto healing. Alright, so let's look at our default values. The default for auto heal. If you want this to always be true for default, you can just check it. It's fine. For the health and the max health, they're both going to be 100, so we'll start at 100. And the max will cap at 100. Again, these values are up to you. The healing rate, how much health do you want per second or whatever? I'm going to do 0.25. I think that'll be a good one. If you can always change it later. Go ahead and compile, save that. Let's go over to our let's go over to our block parent. So in our block parent, we'll go ahead and add a component. This is going to be our health component, so health component. Go ahead and select that, and you'll notice you have your values over here. The health, max health, healing rate, and auto heal. So this is all here. And if you have like different blocks with different properties, like dirt, breaks away easier than granite does, so on and so forth, you can give it additional properties here. You can give it more health. You could even create one for durability, have a durability offset that you can do some math with, right? So that's all cool. We'll jump back to our health component. For the take damage, we're going to come down and let's make a custom event here. Custom event. We'll call this take damage. And the take damage is going to be the exact same as our heal actor, but the difference is instead of adding, we're going to be subtracting. So I'm going to come down here. Take damage, let's go ahead and add an input. This is going to be the damage amount, so damage amount. And it'll be a float type, because that's what our health is currently in. So float. And then the health will come in. Now, real important that unlike addition, which doesn't matter for the order, subtraction does matter. We want the health to subtract the damage. If we do the other way, we'll get a negative value. So we want to make sure we're subtracting in the correct direction. So health minus the damage, and it gives us a result. So grab our health again, we'll do a set. Okay. We want to make sure that we're not taking away too much health. So in the event that our health is less than or equal to 0, so less than or equal to float. So for less than or equal to 0, we'll branch it. If it's true, we want to make sure that our health never, ever, ever goes below 0. So we're going to set it to 0 again. And then, so if it's ever like -5 or whatever, it'll always be 0. And then we are going to send a signal to whether or not we should destroy the player, or destroy the actor, or whatever that particular case may be. So if your player has like a death animation, you would want to trigger that animation. If the actor is to be destroyed, you want to trigger that destroy function. In this case, I'm going to create a variable. We're going to call this one isDead. And I'm going to drag that in. I'm going to attach it to here. And I'll say isDead is true. Compile. We don't need to set a false for isDead because, well, it only gets set to true if death occurs. So there's no reason to run the death part of that. Okay, so go ahead and compile and save. And the next thing I'm going to do is just one more variable. I'm going to add this one in. And this is going to be should destroy on death. So we'll branch that. Drag this in. So what this is going to do is that little extra little bit. So again, if you're the player and you get killed, basically, you'll run a death animation. So we want the death animation to happen, and then if the player gets deleted or whatever, that should occur. For our block animation or a block situation, if it is dead, it needs to just disappear. So rather than create additional functionality elsewhere, it just makes sense to have a lot of this preset onto our take damage so that we don't have to run it off of a tick event or whatever. So in here, we'll have this check, and if it should be destroyed once it dies, then we will just do, we need to know who we're in because this component can exist inside of any actor. So go ahead and do get owner. What this will do is if you hover over, it says follow the outer chain to get the actor that owns this component, which is helpful in this case. And we want to just make sure that we then destroy actor. Okay, so if in the event we are dead, we're going to check, is this object destroyed once it dies? If true, then it will be destroyed. If not, then that gives you the option to handle any additional things that need to happen after death. So run a death animation, should it just turn on or off, or whatever you want it to do. The default on this, we'll go ahead and just leave it as true. That's fine, because the blocks are going to be using this. The player will just turn that off. So save it. We'll jump back over to our block parent. Let's check our component here, and everything's in. Auto heal is set. Does destroy on death? Yes. Or should destroy on death? Is true. So let's go to our player controller. Open it up. And the last time we were in here, we set up our secondary action, where we get our player reference, and then we check to see the thing that we found from our trace is indeed a block. And if it's a block, we destroy it. Well, now we're going to remove the destroy actor and instead call from this the take damage event. So take damage, and then all the way down under health component, we will grab its health component and the take damage event that comes in with it. And we will set how much damage we're going to do. I'm going to do like, I'll do 15, I think. Now this is, of course, we're hard coding, but at some point we'll add damage to the player, and then we'll just pass that in. So I'll compile, save, and that is the initial part of this. And if I go ahead and hit play, and I hit this, eventually it goes away, right? Yay! But I can't tell that it's being damaged. So let's go ahead and save our work real quick, because Unreal loves to crash. Let's go into our material. So go down to our materials and look for the block material, or block color. So last time we set up our block texture with a parameter, which is awesome. But now we're going to add in the little bit that does the magic for its damage. So go ahead and press T and then click to get a texture sample. For that, I'm going to grab my cracks. And to make this look nice and pretty, I'm going to run this through a radial gradient. So radial gradient exponential. Going to multiply this, so multiply. The shortcut is holding down M and then clicking. We'll plug in our exponential, or our radial gradient. We'll multiply again, so this will pass through. And we're going to multiply this by the amount of damage. So I'm going to make a scalar value. So scale, we want a scalar parameter. And this is going to be the damage. You can say damage amount, that's fine. Plug that in. Let's make a little bit of room here. And then I'm going to take the result of this and I want to subtract it from our base texture here. So we'll do a subtract. So our base is going to come in for the A. Remember that the order does matter, and then this is going to come in as the B. And it'll give us a result, and we can plug that into our base color. Now to see the damage happening, we can come down here and set the amount. Now our scalar is a range from 0 to 1, so we're just going to go ahead and do 0.5. Hey, look at that. If I do a 1, hey. Now you can, of course, go over, so if I do like 10, I can make this really, really dark. But in general, it should work. Should work just fine. We'll leave it at 0. We'll hit the checkbox. Save it. Let's jump back into our block parent here. And then what we want to do inside the block parent is we want to actually check the material every time damage has been taken. So go ahead and make a custom event. This is going to be update texture damage. And pretty simple. We're going to get our health component. So get the health component. We want to get the health. We also want to get our max health. So our health, and we're going to divide that by our max health. So this will give us a scale value from 0 to 1. And then we want to set the scale value that we have here for our damage. So I'm going to come back in, grab our dynamic material instance, do a get. From our material, we will set scalar parameter. Right here. Let's run this through. And just pass in the result of our math. Now it wants to know which parameter we're going to mess with, and this is going to be our damage amount. So damage amount. And it needs to be the exact same. So in this case, I have damage amount with a space in there. So just make sure that you're doing whatever is the same for what you named it. Okay, we'll go ahead and compile that. Now this needs to be updated every frame, so we're going to run it off of tick. So tick. And we'll call this, we'll do update texture damage. Compile it, save it. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we whack the block. Ooh, they're already damaged. Let's see what happens if I hit it. It's going down in damage. not quite the effect that I want. I want to do the opposite effect. So here's the trick. You can do this in one of two ways. You can get the value from here, and then flip it, which is really easy because the value coming in is going to be positive, and we're going to take a negative, and blah, blah, blah. We don't have to do that. We can actually go up and to our color here, and just off of our damage amount, we can do a 1-, which does that exact thing for us. Plug it in. Now you'll see that the damage is showing up here, and the reason for that is we're doing the opposite effect, but we'll get back into that. But if I hit play, everything's natural, and if I attack, hey, it removes health. Now you see it is not healing yet, but we'll have to fix that. But I can, of course, destroy the blocks, and we have some damage being taken. So first things first, let's fix what's wrong here. So go back into the material. And the reason our material is showing up, damaged early is we're not really looking at the damage amount. We're actually looking at the remaining health. So instead of taking a 0 value and going up in damage, we're taking a full value and going down to 0. So we're going to actually set this default value to 1. Okay. And if this confuses your brain, you can always do this as health remaining, and you can see whatever it is. I'm going to leave it as it is here, because now we will see it correctly here. And if I do the damage still works. Hey. But of course it does not heal yet. So the reason we don't heal, if we jump back in to our health component, where are you at? We have our auto heal, right? And our auto heal does this. Remember that this is an event, and the event has to run from something. So something has to call this in order to trigger this situation. So, pretty simple. We'll come down to our take damage, and we'll just follow the chain of logic, right? So we take damage, have some amount, and then we have a branch that says if we're 0, then we're dead, right? But if we're not, we should check the auto heal. So auto heal. And this has a retriggerable delay on it, so it'll just keep refiring again and again and again. So we'll hit save. Hey. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, it goes away. Hey, that's all well and good. Awesome, awesome. So damaging works, healing is working. And that is how you do it. Go ahead and save your work. In the next one, we're going to start looking at building the inventory. So stay tuned, and I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, I'm getting into NFTs. Those are big these days. I was thinking about creating my own coin, but we'll get into that at a later date. But NFTs are pretty hot right now. I'm converting my artwork to NFTs. You can see my Rarible page right here. I've only got 4 items, but I'm adding one as they go. They're not cheap to make, so I gotta make them as they go. If you want to support the channel other ways, of course, there's Laying Duck Studios merch, which you can see right here on my Teespring store, as well as Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, I have my books up there under Bruce RF, which is my pen name. Life and Times of Don and Martin, as well as The Guardian's Path of Ascension. You can flip through those and see the reviews, and grab a copy, read it, tell me what you think. It helps me out as an author. It also helps me out as, everything goes back into the stuff that I'm doing. So more content for you. If you want to keep up with me throughout the day, or just kind of see what's going on in life, hit me up on Twitter under BruceRF1. Again, that is my pen name. If you want to see what's going on my blog, ronflowersjr.me, you can see what I'm writing about. what else is going on in life, difficulties that I have with my projects that I'm working on. A lot of my devlog stuff kind of goes there before it comes here, so it's another way of kind of getting into that. I do also have a Patreon where I release content early if you want to get access to things ahead of time, because most of the stuff that I produce, I do things on Sundays and I post on Wednesdays most often, but it goes to Patreon first, so it's kind of there usually a week or so ahead of time, and then it has a release schedule. So if you want to see things early, go there. Let's see, what else is going on? You can also follow me on Facebook under you can do the Lame Duck Studios Facebook or the Bruce RF Facebook. Both of those are available, and a lot of these links are down in the description, so if you want to just like hit those up and just click on them and follow them through, that's another way of getting there. Also, we're at 1,300 subscribers. Woo! We're this close to 10,000, but small milestones first. Let's get to 2,000 subscribers, and then we will continue our road building toward that 10,000 milestone. That is going to be pretty awesome for this channel, my humble channel. So yeah, that's all I have for you on this outro. It's a bit of a long one, but a lot of stuff going on. Anyways, stay tuned, and I shall see you next time.